다른 기지배든 제주 속배기 믹스에 손도 니니베 차대고래 안타는 진호 공시장 무침저 조진토리에 집주장제 망조리 소자와 용리야 깔로 10시에 전화서 아니 정무림치기 단다 깔로 나올리야 디 통모들지 권한도 상물이야 다 조자와 상물이야 다대기 표현한 게 자라 내다 딜이야 지 동선 냠기 수배 취두리야 데 기지기다 지존에 두 손두리야 자요레 세상 아니 권한조리야 투지체 쉬나오다 다제 아니 정무림치네 권한조리야 구지 수배던 다른데 자유 세제 두 깔로 집에서
Indeed, I think we, as a Tibetan, we carry some difficult job, struggle, entirely based on non-violent principle and compassion principle. We actually passing through difficult period. So in such period, you, as a part of international community, came to express your deep concern and support. So grateful. Thank you.
다 고유 토리야 정무림치기 다 베베기 다 변하기 고유디 다대찰이야 베 개충부 차디고도 냠자 두고도 대자 다대찰이야 즉 첩식이 내된데 즉 고유기 내된디 개체로 즉 차디고도 간에서는 고유디 다즉 냠자직 친사버지나 디 마음벌이야 디 라수 지마도 얘기 내된도 자기의 제자 고유 순교디 개충부 즉 자기의 베콜리에 걸어도 스페이스
Tibet problem is in there are different sort of aspects. One aspect, the ecology. A lot of damage inside Tibet. Firstly, a lot of deforestation. And then secondly, exploiting nature resources, extreme way. Don't care about the impact of environment. So, and then some my Indian friend, they say, because of high altitude and because of dry climate, once you see damage about ecology happen, it takes longer period to recover. So therefore, the Tibetan sort of ecology is quite delicate.
dine kalopjik nanglolia ta bebegi ta nangchue da rikshung tinzu tolia kalopeje tik bebegi ta jik nangbe chue da nangbe rikshung chejin namgyune kyamurim chig dus nilia zidig ta nangbegi chue di chochapsine ta jik nangba ibe sangmegi nyamlen chigwe chadi gorine nangbe rikshung cha sumarjina ta jik bebasam mayin begi ta Himalaya rigyu da jik yega mangbuchigi ya ani jik pentoyagi nedang ju chadi yore se dine di manyam gyunzin chigwe di kechumbu ibe tole kalop du space lao
the Buddhist culture. I usually make distinction, Buddhism and Buddhist culture. Buddhism related to one individual case, individual practice. Buddhist culture, like Christianity and Christian culture, and Islam, faith and Islam culture. You see, they are always, you see, Kasuda, no. I mean, two things. Faith for individual, culture related with society. So one example is the Tibetan Muslims. Last at least, I think, 3-4 centuries, Tibetan Muslim come from mainly from Ladakh. They settle in Tibet. So these we usually consider Tibetan Muslim. And they themselves also is considered Tibetan Muslim. In fact, this year, this summer, I visited Srinagar and their own place. So I think one thing, they are Islam, they practitioner of Islam. But they kept Tibetan language very very intact. When I meet student, those Tibetan Muslim, they are children. As a student, they speak Tibetan very well. How they kept in their family. So like that. So they, religiously, they are Islam, Muslim. But as far as their culture is concerned, they are very much in the Tibetan Buddhist culture sort of atmosphere. So they love Tibetan language.
Tene ta thadegi ta phe jana shungi phe mitholi jijimbe siju thol shibna ta jige tik thakbu beju tang chenjini chikange se di yungi mare sta jana shungi dagara beju chedi yores ne de khari chimoni ne jig ta nyime ta thme ta di thone jig nyamru thone ji se gu ma da thakbu ra beju ta ne ko thakbu khaje jigi beju ta wa na dagzam gi ta do mangzo nanglo ya khongro ta anji ngogo yungi res chena anji khari ne le ne de khari ne jig thme ta jig nyime de ke she jeni ani se gu res du se kalo ji pesra.
Now situation, as I think he already, I think he already mentioned, is that things are quite serious. Whether the Chinese government admit or not, there is problem. So this problem, no good for Tibetan, or neither good for Tibetan or People's Republic of China as a whole. So therefore, this have to solve. The solution, use force, will never get a satisfactory result. Quite often you see, I love former President of the United States, Mr. Bush. I really love. He's a really nice person, as a human being, very nice. His policy, Iraq, on this policy, motivation is very good. Try to bring democracy, rule of law, and change dictatorship. Very good. Motivation is very good. Goal very good, but method unrealistic. Because use force is unrealistic. So, in spite good motivation, good goal, but method become wrong. Therefore, negative, unexpected consequences, you see. A lot of years, few years like that. Unnecessary sort of suffering, you see, happen. So, even powerful United States, militarily very powerful, but just rely on use force will not guarantee, will not solve the problem. So the Chinese government also very powerful militarily, but you cannot solve problem only through use force. It creates more problem. It creates more resentment.
Tene jakana ni gi dewe ko ya kalop pedu ta jigi jakana ni di zumuling nanglo ne mibo chishu gi gegep ni cha de yores jigdo cha chuna jig mangdu cha sang yewa da jigdu wonzi lamru go ne dus gegep cha de da kona ni gi dewa ya bu yong le ya jig pebe ne dun de ge chimbu yimbe kalop ya dus space long.
Then politically also China, People's Republic of China and India, these two nations, most populated two nations. So genuine good relations between these two giant Asian countries. It's not only Asian, but whole world, I think most two populated nation. Now at this moment is in differences. This country, most populated democratic country. The other, most populated totalitarian system. That's big differences. But I think whole world trend, more openness, more democracy, right? More freedom, rule of law. That's a world trend. So no matter how powerful People's Republic of China, you have to go along that world trend. You cannot go this way. Perhaps I think now leadership, new leadership, I think may realize that reality. So as things have been stated, seeking truth from fact. So I think fact is like that. Is the world go like that? So they have to sort of adopt a policy on the basis of reality. Otherwise, unrealistic sort of policy always fail to bring satisfactory result. So therefore, now, good relation between China and India based on trust, Sino-Indian relation, genuine friendship, genuine good relation based on mutual trust is a very important factor, very important sort of point, matter where I think both countries, directly, both countries have immense benefit. I think a lot of money can save. So for that reason, Tibet issue, so long this kind of sort of situation remain, the Chinese government compelled to station large number of soldiers. That automatically creates suspicion in this country. So therefore, politically, I feel the Tibet issue is quite sort of important sort of factor in order to develop genuine friendship between these two Asian giants based on mutual trust.
His Holiness is very right when he says that Tibet has a very important place in Sino-India relations. So in these India-China relations, the major problem with India is that India has been on the receiving end and has been having so much problems with China only after the day China occupied Tibet in 1951. So it was only in 1951 that a border, more than 4,000 kilometers long border between India and Tibet, overnight it became India-China border. Otherwise, for thousands of years, not even for one day, for 1 minute, along 4,000 kilometers, not even 1 inch of this border was ever India-China border. It was always India-Tibet border, and we never needed any big forces to attend to this border. It was one of the most peaceful borders on the earth. So Tibet, in that sense, was a defender. Himalaya was the defender of India. A peaceful Tibet, a free Tibet was a guarantee for peace on Indian borders in the north. But the day China occupied it, it became India-China border. And since then, India now, knowing the Chinese government as it is, and the way they are bullying India and within their increasing economic and political and military clout, the way they have started behaving like a rogue state, that is not suiting India. So even to maintain peace with China on our India-Tibet borders, India has to spend so much money. And one thumb rule estimate is that in 5 years, what India spends only to maintain peace on India-Tibet border these days with China, this money is enough to look after the needs of the last Indian who has been deprived of education, health services, civic services, anything. So India is maintaining peace on this border at the cost of the poor Indian. So that is why we also feel what His Holiness feels, that Tibet is very, very central to India-China relations. A free Tibet is a guarantee for a peaceful border on India and Tibet, and it is a guarantee for India to live peacefully and also in a much better economic security.
I think it's first it's energy for the future. we work, I think, or we are committed in each of us in our respective countries. Sometimes you are working in your area without having this group feeling, so that brings a lot of energy, that's certain. I think then there is a lot of contact and social contacts between all participants, which is very inspiring when you hear people from Mexico, from Israel, from Brazil, who speaks about their experience. That's also very stimulating. And I think in terms of content also we have heard a lot of substance also via the various presentations made in plenary session or in the group discussion. So this morning, for instance, we had some Chinese experts speaking about the new leadership in China, exposing the different profiles of the new leadership and the standing committee members, and also what impact it could have on China. So we are learning also from this very much, and this will help in the future to be better prepared for our work also.
Well, it's important also to have local activities and national plans, but of course we live in a globalized world, and many of the decisions that take place that affect the future of Tibet take place in international fora. And so it's important for each group to know what the other is asking of its government and to have common requests that can feed into the international processes. So to give you an example, if we in Canada are asking our government to promote the idea of an international contact group, and the support group in the UK is asking its government for the same priority, and the support group in India is asking its government for the same priority. When there's a meeting at the United Nations Human Rights Council, for example, all the governments will come with the same idea, and it will be easier to have a stronger voice in their demands.
다른 손도 님은 니버드 차대요래 안 생이 다 손도 님은 타마데 qab리야 안 상모 좀 제전 아니 다다보다 님은 숨디 나올리야 졸랭 가르치고 보다 안 타메기 다직 겸년년도 간르지 뜨는 거네 디톨이야 타메 다주나야르실라고